All right, welcome to the video today. Today I have with me Marta, who is the partner of Strategic Medical Brokers as well as a business broker. Hi, Marta, how are you doing?
Hi, Kathy. I'm doing great, and thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the time. What I wanted to dive into today was about the process of matchmaking a buyer and a seller of a medical practice. You have many roles here at Strategic Medical Brokers, but you really do come into play once we have a listing of a medical practice launched on the market and the leads of interested buyers start to come in. So you screen them and qualify them, hoping they make it to the next round of meeting with the seller to see if the fit is right. So I really just wanted to pick your brain on the process of that. So first up, if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving the high-level overview of the process of determining a possible match between an interested buyer and our seller client.
So, the first and I think the most important process is what we call the next steps meeting, what we do with the seller. In this meeting, we try to learn from the seller his expectations about the perfect ideal buyer profile they have in mind. So it includes from the personal style to management team, uh, approach to the patients, medical philosophy, um, professional certifications,
Mhm.
evidence-based medical beliefs, and in this case, for example, it's very important with pediatricians to know what is the vaccine policy, for example, from the buyer. We can start connecting dots with our portfolio of buyers, and those that fit the desired profile will be the first we are approaching or we are contacting to present the opportunity.
Absolutely. And you have such a fabulous track record of finding these matches, so that's why I really wanted to meet today to discuss it. So, I'm just
I love that role. I think it's the of all the roles I have in the company, that is the one I love the most.
yes, yes. Well, you're very good at it. So, how early in the process would you say you're able to recognize if the fit between the two is not suitable?
Yes, Kathy. We every single interested buyer for a specific practice, we conduct a rigorous screening process.
Hmm.
So we, at that early stage, we can often determine if there is a lack of compatibility. And I can tell you that as we are a specialized company that only sells medical practices, I can tell you that between the 70 and 80% of interested buyers are not qualified. This is an important consideration for sellers who plan to sell their practices on their own,
Hmm.
because it shows the significant amount of time that we at strategic medical practice brokers can save them. Additionally, in all our years of experience working with serial buyers, um, enable us to assess how far we can progress in the process with certain buyers before disqualifying them. In some cases, we may not even share information about the practice that they are interested in.
Yes, you save the sellers a lot of time, that's for sure. And how has your background as a physician enabled and benefited you to successfully determine what a good match would be between a buyer and a seller?
During my last 10 years before retiring, I was the director of hospitalization in a 440 bed hospital. It allowed me, and I had the opportunity to interact with doctors from all specialties. And it's interesting how each specialty has certain personality traits and characteristics that help in approaching each one of them.
Hmm.
This allows me also to build empathy with all physicians, both sellers and buyers, and I believe it gives confidence to physicians approaching our company.
Absolutely. And you spoke a little bit earlier about the serial buyers. I'm curious what red flags you look out for when you're introducing a potential buyer to a seller.
Yeah, first than all, we don't introduce buyers that we don't believe they are serious. We don't introduce them to our client, to our sellers. If we put them in contact, it's because we believe that it could be a fit. But that first interview between buyer and seller is very important to determine if, and is when we start looking for red flags.
Mm-hmm.
One of the red flags we can find is when the buyer tries to get the seller's contact information.
Right.
Nothing good comes from that relationship, with that contact. Usually, when a buyer tries to get in contact, direct contact with the seller, is trying to get benefits, advantage, and get better conditions at the moment of the negotiation. So we highly recommend not to have that direct information until purchase contract is signed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a great way to protect them for sure.
Yeah.
And
Another red flag is when the buyer doesn't show respect for for what the seller has built during his hard working life. You can see some buyers that just come for the numbers, for the money, how much money I can do, and the philosophy, the practice, and all the culture is like worth nothing for them. So this is a red flag as well.
mhm,
When there are serious discrepancies related to the organization culture, values, and work environment, this is another red flag. And when there is not alignment between buyer and seller's scientific medical beliefs, it happens sometimes. And when the buyer tries at the first meeting, they start trying to negotiating price and payment structure.
yes, all of that needs to be done outside that initial meeting with the
Yeah,
seller
no.
for sure.
That negotiations that when a seller contract us is because they don't want to be against the wall in that hard situation. This is our job.
Right.
We are we are here for the seller,
Yes.
so it's our job to do that kind of conversations.
Be that intermediary.
Yeah.
So, if you had to boil it down, which I'm sure is quite hard to do, what would you say are the three most important aspects that need to align between the potential buyer and the seller in order to have a successful fit?
I would say first personality match. Sometimes
Mhm.
you start that date and say you say no, it's not gonna happen. The second is the mutual respect they show to each other, and the third one and not less important, I would say the most important is the alignment on the future plans for the practice. It's very
Mhm.
important.
Yes, absolutely. And I just have one more question for you. Really, is just if you can give an example of a successful fit between a buyer and a seller and how you knew the match was right.
Oh, we have a lot of examples. If
Yes, we do.
you go to our website, is so satisfactory when you read in many of the reviews. People say they find strategic medical buyers found the right buyer to my practice, the right fit. So we have a lot of examples, but there is one that happened recently in January, where the buyer and the seller clicked from the first moment they met. You could see like the sparks in the air, the respect for the practice that the sellers had built, the alignment in medical beliefs, the patient-centered approach, the
Mhm.
bilingual Spanish English abilities of both, which were very important given the large Hispanic population in the area. You
Mhm.
could feel they were the perfect couple. And after the closing was we laughed a little bit with them. Since during the next steps meeting with the sellers, we let them know, okay, our goal is to find the perfect boyfriend for your practice, and we did it.
Yes, we
Did
did.
it. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. It was wonderful to watch.
Yes,
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Marta, for your time. I really appreciate it.
my pleasure.
Take care.